Alright everyone, welcome back to the ESL Go4 EU Overwatch Cup number 12. Number 12. We are going to be getting started here in just a moment, as we are going to have the semifinals coming up for you guys. It is going to be OWKings, as they've made a tear through the top of the bracket, no surprise there. And we're going to be following, we've been following Copenhagen Flames from the bottom half of the top half, and they've been tearing it up through opponent after opponent, and now their biggest challenge awaits. And the Scribe will be joining me once again to go ahead and provide analysis and insight into these games. It's been a crazy one so far, Scribe.
Yeah, and I'm just, man, I didn't realize Shattered 2K was on Overwatch King.
Yeah,
I'm definitely excited.
They must have added him. The situation with them over the last few months is, of course, they did a while ago. They did have Mitchar on their lineup, but Mitchar did end up leaving the lineup, and they ended up parting ways with him. Ended up picking up a Clown in response as that, but then since then I haven't seen them play as much as consistently as I did before. But Shatter has made his way. Not sure if it's a sub or if it is going to be a full replacement, but nonetheless, I mean, it is definitely adding some star power to their lineup. I mean, he is one of the better players in the European server right now, and is definitely one of the top streamers. So gives a lot of power to the team. But nonetheless, it is a situation where before it's hard to break them down, because it didn't really feel like their lineup had consistency with the roles. And it'll be interesting to see how Shadow fits in, because if I recall correctly, he is mainly like a very strong Genji player and a very strong like Tracer player, much more of the assassin high mobility heroes. Haven't watched as much of his stream as I would like to, but maybe you know a little bit more in that respect towards his preferred hero pool.
Yeah, I mean, from at least what I've seen before, he is that Genji, that Tracer player. He's a very mechanically skilled kind of I don't want to say like a pub star, but he's basically, I mean, that's essentially what he is. And like to some extent is that, he is someone who's very, very high on the ladder and had very good performances on the leaderboard. And I think overall, very strong player. So I'm very glad that he was added to this team. And I'm, want to see exactly where he goes in this entire, in terms of, competitive career. But I'm glad we're having some homegrown talent being added to different scenes.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the nature of it. As it grows bigger and bigger, the Pug Stars are going to have more opportunity to go ahead and see play, not only in tournament matches, but of course scrims and other stuff like that. As of course the teams will be looking to fill out rosters or to find subs, find those dedicated. Because of course at the end of the day, you do also, I mean, it's always hard for the player that's in that sub position. But at the end of the day, that is something that these teams do need to start considering, because, I mean, with these online tournaments going on as often as they do, as consistently as they do, you need to be able to field a roster to consistently play in them, and that sometimes means having those backup players ready to go. And lots of opportunities will continue to grow and be abound, but it'll be interesting to see what players make the transition. That was always a big topic of discussion back when I played Dota competitively, is what players will actually make the transition from Pugstar to competitive, because it is a completely different environment. I mean, even if you're at a medium skill level as far as competitive officials go, you could be at the top Pug level just because you can frag well, you can play well, but to coordinate on that second of difference between the other team, because that's really what it comes down to, is the skill level gets higher and higher, is those seconds, those very minute differences between the combinations and coordinations between the players and teams.
Yeah, and I agree. And obviously, in terms of this game, we've seen so many great performances from Copenhagen Flames on this very map. But I'm very excited to see what what they're going against. Obviously they have Hanzo and Mei on the other side, on OWKings side, but that's just maybe they run with it, maybe they don't. But I want to see if they throw something new at them, and if they're ready to receive it.
We'll go ahead and introduce OWKings. It's the first time we're casting in today, as we are going to be seeing Clown picking up the Lucio RYB Rib, going to be picking up the Zarya, always mess up his name first time. Old habits die hard. Shatter is going to be picking up that Genji. Additonian on the Zenyatta. Olva going to be picking up the McCree, and that will leave. Last but not least is going to be good old Tweety on the Reinhardt, and unfortunately, well, not sure exactly. I think we have to go back to the lobby, because it's sorry, unfortunately I did not notice that before. Did not check the settings myself, but there is an extra minute on the clock because it is on quick play settings. So hopefully that should become a big issue. As it looks like OWKings has just pushed in and absolutely cleaned house.
Yeah, I mean, damn, that they almost seemed like they weren't ready for it for some reason. But we yeah, we can just add in time for this. But man, this is kind of bad. I don't even know what Copenhagen Flames is going on. I think they're just kind of like not really sure what's going on. Maybe they just got caught off guard. Maybe they're just trying to regroup about this. But this definitely seems like very, very messy from them on their end. They almost gave that point up for absolutely free. Did not seem like they were really there contesting anything.
Yeah, it only took OWKings 45 seconds in total to go ahead and get that done, but nonetheless, there is going to be lots of time to work here on the map. Now, since we are using stopwatch, it shouldn't matter that it's quick play. It might just end up adding an extra minute to the time if these teams take it to the very end. But the way it's going for OWKings, and the Copenhagen Flames is not going to have the opportunity to get set up. Olba with the Deadeye will end up taking out Fanif as they push forward. Multiple heroes are falling one by one. Shatter's going to end up taking out two himself. And this is Copenhagen Flames definitely not being ready for what OWKings has to offer on the table. RYB Rib going to be getting himself a double after Shatter's triple. And Copenhagen Flames just doesn't seem to be answering the situation that well, but at the same time, it is a tempo situation. They've lost the first point, they lost the streets phase immediately, and now they're going into the last section of the map with almost no room to operate.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get a decent hold off here, maybe like a 4 or 5 minute hold, they can probably bring this into like a doable time. But right now, I mean, the engage is going so hard. The Graviton.
It's huge. It's going to hit on all of them, and Clown's going to go down. Clown's going to get himself a double kill during it, as he does take out both of the damage threats. The Zarya was a decent charge, but that is going to be all of the defense cleaned up now. Now they're going to be down to the last few members, and it might just come to a situation where they have to go for the full stall really early on, but nonetheless, they're going to stay the same heroes. They're going to push in aggressively. They do have some ultimates to work with, but Jovel, he goes down first. They are going to get the Graviton Surge out and the Sound Barrier, but there's also the Transcendence coming out from the offense. They do go ahead and use that on top of the Sound Barrier, so a bit of an overlap there, but nonetheless, it seems to be working out okay for the defense. As Sheena goes ahead and takes out the offensive McCree. They're finally starting to get some kills. They're starting to turn it around, but then Shatter goes ahead and pulls out the Dragon Blade, gets himself a double kill, and could just put a huge spanner in the works, but it's not going to be a big enough spanner, and the side of Copenhagen Flames will go ahead and buy themselves valuable seconds of breathing room, but before that, we were looking at a sub 3 minute time. Terrifying.
Yeah, hopefully this goes on a little better. Luckily, I think Copenhagen Flames has the Java ultimate. Sheena's at 58 after that little spiel right there, so they are in a good situation. They just need to make sure they don't get kited out here.
Well, and they are going to get pushed back during the zoning of that Deadeye. There's going to be a greater Shatter coming out here from Jovel as he ends up hitting on 3, 2 on the cart, 1 behind. Olba goes for the flashbang and ends up getting some damage done, but it looks like it is going to be another defensive hold here of this push, as there's not a single kill going to the side of OWKings. In fact, the team kill horn to punctuate the point. The Copenhagen Flames is starting to feel their own, and you know, if it was the beginning of the tournament, I might be saying Copenhagen Flames needs to wake up, but I definitely feel like this is them playing against a team with a lot more of caliber of play, depth of play, strategy, execution, coordination, and they seem, though, as the map is going on, to be stepping it up and answering back.
Honestly, if Copenhagen can have their good ult management right now, they can definitely stall this out for at least 3 minutes. But right now, Javel's a little shieldless right now. Char's into a wall for some reason. Doesn't really anything. Sheena's in the backline, causing the stress, but Twitty takes her down. All of a sudden, you know, they're down a lot of DPS threats. Olba is channeling his, his Deadeye right now. Great Graviton Surge to hopefully mitigate some more damage, but the thing is, a lot of their DPS threats are already down. How are they going to force it through?
Yeah, they're going to have to rely on this Deadeye, but it doesn't end up getting anything done because of that barrier. But the good news of part of this is that Sheena did go down with that Dragon Blade as she was channeling it, so she is able to get it back out and fight it. Now as Clown's going to go down, and she's getting quite a few important kills here. They need to take out this Reinhardt as he can just swing away and continue to do damage left and right. And Rib will go ahead and just jump off the cliff and sacrifice his life, which is the best way to go about it. You don't want to feed ultimates, but like you said, Copenhagen Flame seems to be taking basically something out of nothing. They had no at all momentum on their side, and these last 3 defensive holds have really bought them a lot, but now they're low on ultimates, so where you were talking about ultimate management, now it's going to be very important that they actually just outright win the fights, as there's going to be an Earth Shatter coming out from Tweety. He goes ahead and goes for the charge, but there's going to be the counter Earth Shatter coming out from the defense, and it seems to do a lot more as there's quite a few heroes knocked down. Earth Shatter is going to also end up causing Jovel his own death. I'm not sure if he ended up charging off or not, but Olba, double kill. He's continuing to light up. Now it's just on Anatonian, as he will end up getting the last kill, and I think that's going to be enough for the offense to go ahead and convert the payload. And with the time of, I believe it was 5:07, it is going to be the first take of the point here, and unfortunately it is the quick play. So I guess we do get the play of the game, but nonetheless it will be a time of 5 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, honestly, that seemed like at the end they should have stalled it out a little more. Javo, I think, was trying to run RYB off of the map, which is, I think where they were sitting at that time. But I think sacrificing that to get that kill wasn't worth it because they needed more defensive threats up. But at the same time, Fnif just had ultimate and like a few more charges. If he stalled out a little more, maybe it would have been good. But I mean, right now it's kind of 5 minutes is not a lot of time for them. I mean, we've obviously seen Copenhagen players do a little better, but this is a different caliber of team, and they need it. They need to take that first point extremely quickly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. They cannot afford to have any of the other momentum losses that happened at the end for Overwatch Kings. They need to get that momentum off at the beginning, the side of Copenhagen Flames. They need to take the first point. They need to chain that into a quick second point, and they need to accrue back that time because at the end of the day, I feel like it's kind of been interesting lately as a lot of the analysts talk about, teams are converting on maps more effectively, more efficiently, but there's also been a backswing of that as well. As there's been a lot of, honestly, I almost want to come back to the idea or come to the idea that it is becoming a little bit more of a defensive game in some respects because the offense is going to finish most of the time, but the time in which the offense is going to finish is really dependent upon your defense. There is, of course, a lot that the other offense can do, and if you're in that perspective of, oh, what did the offense do wrong? What did they do right to go ahead and get the conversion or not lack of conversion? But a lot of the time, it's on the defense to get that good stall, to get that good time bought for their offensive side. So, it's interesting to see that it is becoming a little bit more of a defensive game in some respects, but it's still, it is decided by your offensive time versus the other offensive time. So onus probably stays there for now.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's kind of like back in the days on certain maps on Counter-Strike where something would be like very T-sided. It'd be about, hey, scoring 4 or 5 rounds on your CT side. And this is kind of a very similar atmosphere where a lot of these, hybrid maps have a first point that's very offensive centric, meaning like offensive bias, meaning that if you're on offense, you're more likely to take the point just because, hey, it's the distance between respawn is closer, and a lot of other variables. So hopefully teams start getting better at this, and then as we get more better defenses, obviously your offenses are converting.
Well, the Sunner Arrow is going to actually end up going on Reinhardt. However, Sheena will be switching away from that, so not going to be able to use that for that long period of time. But they do get the information. Completely standard defense coming out of Overwatch Kings. Nothing we haven't seen already today. No Mei, no nothing out of the norm, but that is going to be a pretty normal initiation as well. Incredibly aggressive. Winston going over the top. Sheena will go ahead and decapitate Tweety after. It looks like they do go ahead and lose Nidros, but this is Olba lighting up on the McCree, and that's what we expect to see out of Olba, as he is a very strong McCree player when he is lighting up. But Shatter going to go ahead and get the 2 kills at the end, and this is Overwatch Kings doing the opposite of what you were saying Copenhagen Flames needs to do, which is that Copenhagen Flames needs to take the point early on, get that momentum, but Overwatch Kings saying, nay, this is our point, this is our moment, we're going to make it that much harder for you guys to comfortably play this map.
Man, Shatter 2K is using that KYB spot, which I like to call inside the statue, where no one checks there. Oh, except now. Which hopefully, man, there's some mitigation of damage on there with the shield. But right now, Jovo jumps off, trying to solo with the Discord orb on there. That's just so disconnected. I mean, this is Copenhagen Flames needs to group together and engage together right now. What they seem to be doing is just going very separately. There's not really, I guess, a cohesive idea of what to do. I mean, the initial push looked exactly like the last 3 initial pushes, which is kind of bad, especially if Overwatch has been watching you maybe your past 2 videos or your past 2 games or whatever. But meanwhile, oh man, dude, Olba is hiding out and no one notices him, and this is exactly where the Deadeye goes wrong.
And he's going to channel it right now, activate out. He's got quite a few skulls. He's going to go ahead and pull the trigger after falling. Will only get the 1 kill as Fnif is going to go ahead and answer. So big plays there as they do take out that threat, but there is still Shatter alive, and he can continue to do a lot of damage. Fnif right now lighting up the kill feed for his team. This is exactly what you do need in these situations. It's nice to have your DPS to go off, but when they can also rely on a Zenyatta to do a fair bit of damage himself, it can definitely take some pressure off their shoulders, allowing them to win those situations. But so far, defense going to be going for the Graviton Surge into the Death Blossom, but a great Transcendence timed out by Fnif. This guy is just definitely stepping up right now for his team, getting all of the kills that they need, in addition to setting up the 2 supports. But Sheena, Nidris will go ahead and clean up that fight as far as the kills go. But that fight, I have to say, again, I really want to highlight Fnif there. Transcendence perfectly timed. Double kill coming out of him when the other DPS were dead. Is there enough time, I guess, is the other question, though, too. It's, I mean, they need
to dominate this street phase. This is they need to take one fight, and they have, I guess, one opportunity with Finfi with their ultimate and Nidris with the ultimate as well. They have maybe 2 opportunities to do this. Maybe let Jobble build up some of that. Yeah, Jobble has ultimate right now. This is their chance. They have 1 chance to win this. Shatter only has 13%, and they have no offensive ultimates on the side of the Overwatch Kings right now. If they can take this, land a great, Graviton Surge or Shatter or whatever, they can push this point. But they need to remember to manage though.
It's all going to be back off Nidras and landing that flashbang, and he does land the flashbang, and now they're going to go for the Deadeye. It doesn't end up getting a new one because of the charge, although they end up losing 2 heroes off the back of it, make it 3 as Sheena ends up taking out Shatter. Rib will end up taking out Sheena, but in the end, it's not going to be enough. There's only going to be 2 heroes here left for the defense, and this might be that opportunity. This might be the chance. Nidras finally starting to light up to the same degree that we saw the McCree of Olba do, and now pushing forward the offense. Copenhagen Flames, opportunities, hopes, they are flying through the comms, I'm sure, as 1 minute and 43 seconds remain. This is definitely plenty of time for them to get something going, as another flashbang ends up stopping the barrier from the defense to actually set up on this point. Will they be able to win the fight? Jovel ends up killing himself, but will take out Tweety. Sheena's able to win the duel of the McGinjis, taking out Shatter, and now there's going to be the deflect onto the Deadeye. Nidras is going to end up taking out Olba, and that kill could just be the end of this point here, as there are going to be the supports trying to stall it up. Lucio's going to cart dance as long as possible, but Clown's down, Additonian down, and the point will be converted. Time on the clock is 1 minute and 17 seconds, and this Genji Blade from Sheena needs to be absolutely huge, because the defense still has the opportunity to play Mei and Diva and buy themselves an additional 10, 15, 20 seconds on this clock.
They have around 10 seconds to really make this opportunity really count. Fnif needs to have a great Transcendence mitigate and all this upfront damage and disengage. They can't die. Jobble can't die right here.
Great flick
Shatter completely whiffs.
The great flick of the shield there coming out from the offensive Reinhardt, going to prevent that. Sheena's going to be able to take out Olba, and right now Overwatch Kings may have gotten a little overconfident, a little bit confused, not exactly sure, as they did have the defensive position, and the charge came out, of course, from Tweety, and he went for the Earth Shatter, but maybe it's just also great play coming out of Jovel, that flicker of the shield. That's what we see back when I used to watch Reinhardt at the beginning. Macerar, he's a player that you always watch being able to do that, but now Shatter, with hopes and dreams of Overwatch Kings on his shoulders, is going to go for the background Dragon Blade, but it's not enough. Rib gets flashbanged up, and now there's going to be a Deadeye channeled out here from the McCree of Nidras. He will end up going down. The payloads continue to push forward. 20 seconds remain. They can't lose any more heroes. They have to fight it out cleanly from this point on, but it's not going to be enough. And Overwatch Kings will, with 10 seconds remaining, most likely end up winning this map. It will be the GGs coming out from Affected Nidras, as they are aware that they have to both get onto the point and push it. But still, despite an absolutely terrifying push coming out from the side of Overwatch Kings, Copenhagen Flames takes it to the very last moments of this map.
Oh man, that's gotta. Those comms need to come out. You need to say, "Go, where's Shatter? Where's Shatter?" Like they didn't kill him at all. They basically wiped the entire front, and no one was looking. No one was thinking, well, there's some guy who's so important to us, like completing the rest of this map. Like we have no idea where he is. That call needs to come through it. But Shatter, playing super smart, did not show himself, did not go for any damage. It was basically like, I'm sitting at 98%, I'm gonna wait until the 100 and then come and clean up the rest of the fight. And I have to say, the fact that no one was expecting him from behind changed the entire fight, because he was able to get 1 kill, 2 kill, and by the time he was taken down, well, his rest of the teams respawned, and now they're back to winning.
Yeah, and I mean, on that note as well, it's kind of worth that whole discussion of, you have to be hero counting. It is hard though in that situation. I always go back to a lot of my StarCraft knowledge here, but there is so much knowledge in what you see that you tend to forget, and they didn't call it, right? They didn't say, we see every hero but Genji, where is Genji? And those are the kind of moments that can change that situation and make you a championship caliber team, to be able to consistently make those small differences. I mean, the biggest one that line of logic that Top comes up with is when you're playing against a Mercy, you have to be hero counting, you have to be using non-tells to say, there's no heal, there's no Mercy. They're gonna res. We gotta find her, we gotta kill her, we gotta prevent that. And I mean, similar logic, of course, with that Dragon Blade. We gotta find that Genji, we gotta prevent it. But it ends up happening beneficially for Overwatch Kings, and we're gonna be going into the next map here, as they'll be starting on the defense once again, or they'll be starting on the defense for this time, and it will be Copenhagen Flames starting on the offense. But do you think that there is a major change needed for Copenhagen Flames, or just go the same and just fix those small mistakes?
I mean, it's kind of tough to say, because that last map was so close. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it literally came down to 1 meter at the end. The fact that they didn't spot out Shatter, making that game-winning lurk. But I think they need to, put that match in the back of their heads or use it as like a fire to kind of bring it forward in this match. But they need to be coordinated. They need to go in at the right times. They can't be divided on this first push like they were on King's Row first push. They need to go in together, have a good mindset of what to do, and most importantly, to use advantage of the fact that they have the aim of Nidris, who has been on fire recently, and Finif, not to be, you know, second guess there, but he's great as well. And I mean, a lot of this just comes down to winning your duels and staying calm. And I mean, Sheena is playing the Reaper right now, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think she should be on the Genji. She's so good on the Genji, and that's how it should be moved forward.
Well, maybe a little bit of wanting to change it up to throw off the opponents, maybe feeling a little bit of confident on it, but nonetheless, she will be playing it, so we'll see if they can get something done with it. They need to be playing very aggressive with the Reaper as a team, getting that snowball effect going, those health globes on the ground, and won't have that same flanking assassin potential, so see if they can work with it. Nidris is already taking a ton of damage off the bat, including effect from Tweety's Fire Strike, as he's already sitting up to 59% as he lands another Fire Strike. Offensive Fire Strike runs through as well, and both teams are going to be topping it off, but here comes the big engagement. Charge going to be going out, but it looks like a flashbang ends up canceling that out, and Shatter picks up the first kill, comboed off with his teammate Nolba, and they're just going back and forth. Shatter, Olba, and then Clown finally says, guys, supports can get kills too, as Shatter will get himself a total of a 3k, and that's going to be the first push completely mopped up from Copenhagen Flames, as OWKings sets up very nicely, very effectively, and the ult charge, Shatter, you can see the damage he ended up doing there, even though his kill feed was not the primary. I mean, he got the 3k, but there's 3 other kills taken from teammates. He did a lot of the damage.
Yeah, and honestly, right now, Shatter with the ultimate, all Copenhagen's needs Flames to do is bait it out. Don't burn anything. Just let him go for it. Let him kill you guys, reset, and then come back to it when you. It's going to suck, and it's going to. I mean, this like kind of like, man, we just got wiped again, and it's gonna be super frustrating. But all they need to do is, hey, they don't have ults anymore. We can kind of push in. They don't have. They might have, you know, McCree ultimate, but we can still work with what we have right now.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be going into a 3 versus 1 ultimate situation. It's now only a 2 versus 1, and that is one of the hardest parts as a player, is being able to be honest with yourself and say that it's okay to lose something to gain more later. But nonetheless, they are going to continue to push forward with seeming confidence as they do move forward as a team. They are going to be getting onto the high ground here. Oh, no, they're going to fake it. I even bought the fake, and I have wall hacks as the offense is going to have to get on, or he's going to get onto the point. Defense going to have to turn around and try to set up his Tweety lands the Shatter onto Sheena, and that is a very important first kill. Transcendence will come out from Anatonian afterwards as Olba is going to channel the Deadeye, and he's in a very good position to pull the trigger and get himself a kill, but no, does go down. Tweety going to be able to take out Jovo 5, and so far the offense has bought themselves maybe a bit of an opportunity, a bit of a chance here, as they are going to be taking the first point. I believe there isn't really much left to fight it out. There is going to be Finfi as well as Finif, Nidris together on the point. There is going to be a Tracer running over to the right. Let's see how long it takes for them to notice her. They are going to find her, and now Nidris will just clean up Olba immediately. And it looks like that is going to be the point taken. And once again, in a situation where Copenhagen Flames was on the precipice of losing, Finfi comes out strong and ends up making huge plays for his team.
Yeah, and that's all they need right now. They have the good ult. Nidris has ult, Finfi has ultimate, and if is building up with effect very soon to have ultimate. They can use this right now. They need to bait out a defensive ultimate from the defensive side of OWKings. If they can bait this out, and then afterwards, Nidris. Oh, what a man! Please, oh, Nidris takes down this.
He does force the Wraith Walk, though, and that's going to mean Shatter goes down immediately out of it, and that's really good. And even though it doesn't end up getting the kill, it puts him in a position that is only going to get worse. There's no better way out of it, and now the Lucio in an increasingly worse situation as well, as more heroes are going to continue to surround him. And even though that Deadeye itself was not that, oh my god, look, he pressed a button and killed the entire team, it was amazing in the sense that it forced that Wraith Walk, and it forced that positional play out of the defense.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that channels, it forces, you know, Shatter to say, well, I don't want to die, I don't want to do anything. Takes out the Zenyatta as well. That's a loss of great reactive ultimate right now. This ain't to kite it out right now. Just wait for it to die. I don't know why Sheena's still so far up front, but I guess it doesn't matter. She's just creating room for the team. And admittedly, you know, they were able to take out the backline, but wait a minute. In the backline right now, Clown takes out Finfi and Jabo takes out RYB, but right now this fight is so messy.
Yeah, and this Deadeye needs to take out a Clown here as he's able to guard dance just continually. There is also going to be now the Reinhardt barrier for him to play off of. This Transcendence going to come out from the offense. They don't want to lose this right here, right now. They want to continue to push this out and maintain what they have. But in the end, I don't think that was necessarily the best decision. Maybe a bit of a brash or rush decision. But Shatter is going to go ahead and take out Finif and Effect to go ahead and punctuate the point that the supports ended up using the Transcendence, using that defensive ultimate. And now they're only going to be sitting on a Dragon Blade to go ahead and round off this map. I mean, what do you take of this, Scribe? I mean, do you think they could have gotten something out of that Transcendence but made another mistake, or was it just maybe a misuse of the Transcendence there?
It was definitely a misuse right here, and they're so divided right now. What are they? What are the calls going through their comms right now? It's kind of a little frustrating because I think they were trying to do a pincer move, but then they got caught out, and now they're stalled off again, which is admittedly fine because they didn't have any super ultimates to use to begin with, but they need to stay together. They need to kind of realize what their win conditions are. Right now, it's all about Sheena Blade. As Sheena can either land a great reflect, or maybe even, counter shatter 2K's Dragon Blade and come up and clean up just a little better. But with Twitty, with, Earth Shatter, that doesn't really seem like something that's going to happen immediately.
Yeah, and I don't really like that they're just waiting around. They do have, or they're lower on the ultimate charges as far as the ones that are coming up. They need to just take a fight and not go for this trade. Defense very close, Adatonian 80%. And he's going to go ahead and get that up in just a second as Rib gets ahead and takes out the first kill of the of this offense. And it looks like it's just going to be a clean house here for the defense as they go ahead and put it out. And move on here with a minute and a half left, only about 3 offenses left that they have to go ahead and dissect and break apart. And they do have the ultimates to do it. Transcendence, Deadeye, and that Primal Rage, whereas the offense, I mean, they are closer to some of them, but Sheena, not feeling the Dragon Blade, not feeling that Genji, is going to switch over to the Reaper.
I disagree with this. That was their win condition, like 100%. Like, what are they going to do now? They have no ult. Are they going to depend on Nidris to try to shoot through Reinhardt shield? Like, this is ridiculous. I don't know why she's dropped off at 100%. They needed this. And basically right now, they're going to spend maybe 30 seconds of this trying to build up ultimates. But man, Fimpy needs to land something, and Nidris needs to get 2 kills with his Deadeye. Otherwise, this is for nothing.
And OWKings is going to try to do exactly that, make this situation even more punished as he pushes forward, taking out Fimpy. Looks like Sheena will be able to get a kill, switching over to that Reaper, and it looks like it's working out as Nidris is going to get himself a double kill, and Sheena as well, going to continue to cleave through, and maybe, just maybe, OWKings wasn't quite entirely ready for this, and they're going to go ahead and channel the Transcendence. Now, this is a situation where it's hard to disagree with it because they are stalling it out. There's only 30 seconds remaining on the clock, and they can force it into overtime before the point is taken, but Nidris will take out Adatonian, and that will be a major stagger there. So we'll see if they can go ahead and reset on their defense here. OWKings are going to go ahead and channel the Primal Rage here from Rib as Tweety's going to push forward. He gets himself a kill and a Nerf Shatter charging through, taking out Nidris. That's one of the biggest damage threats right now. And with that Transcendence hold, with the use of that, they bought themselves this one last opportunity. If they can win the fight right here, it would just be GG in progression base. And OWKings leading the series right now 1-0. Oba's going to give himself a double kill and continue to push forward and get more kills as there is just, I believe, just one hero left on the point. It was Effect. He gets cleaned up, and there's going to be a wave from Sheena, aware of the situation that there's almost no chance of getting there, but this is now going to be a progression situation where OWKings leads the series 1-0, and if Copenhagen Flames can't get their defense going better, then it is just going to be them getting knocked out here in the quarterfinals. And I mean, I'll go ahead and let you take a moment here because I know there's probably a lot you want to say, but I guess I prompt the question. I mean, that last fight did seem to work out pretty well between Sheena and Nidris on the Reaper, but was it even the Reaper? I mean, it definitely felt like Nidris was doing, I mean, what you said, they need to rely on him if they did that, and he did do a lot, but I mean, didn't end up working out for them in the end, just not enough time on the clock.
I mean, it's a little frustrating to kind of look at that and say, like, well, what went well and what didn't? But the thing is, Sheena could have done easily the same exact thing she did on Reaper on Genji. And she would have had Dragon Blade, she would have had, maybe could have kept it, because it almost seemed like they didn't really need the Dragon Blade off of Genji. And all of a sudden, if you have that Genji Dragon Blade going into that last, that last push to get to that, the second checkpoint, maybe that's just a little more useful on that end. But I can't imagine what the calls were back there. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to think, like, maybe they just didn't feel comfortable with the Dragon Blade. Maybe they thought they couldn't convert on it. But they had they had a loose show sound barrier, and they had Transcendence right there. That's enough to kind of propel you guys to move forward and really do what you need to. But they need to have a good hold here. We saw them have a very, very strong hold on Hollywood again in their last series. So if they can replicate that, if they can stop them on this first point, which is very, very doable, but they need to be ready. They can't be taken by surprise like they were on Kings Row, because if they get rolled on that, there's almost no way they can stop the momentum from taking the second point.
Couldn't agree more, as I am going to be over the golden rectangle you guys can see on your screen. That is going to be the progression base. They only have 2 bins in the second section of the map and this first point here to go ahead and hold as OWKings going to be moving forward. Shatter is going to be picking up that Genji, so where Sheena did not feel comfortable playing. It is going to be playing the defensive Reaper here. Now, Reaper has seen a lot more on the defense here than the Genji has seen on the defense, but nonetheless, they have the tools to hold this. They have the position right now as they maintain control of Cafe. They haven't lost it, but they are going to go ahead and go out. Nidris is going to go ahead and take out Olba, so a good kill to start it off with, taking out the other McCree is that effect. We'll take out Tweety. Rib going to answer on to Finif, but still, the defense in the position they want to be after Rib's double kill. That might have just changed. Shatter's still alive, doing a lot of damage, but Olba, he did switch over to the Tracer, so immediately, right after dying, his McCree says, that's fine. McCree didn't work for me. Looks like Nidris is winning the duels. Doesn't even mess with the idea that it could continue to go worse, and switches right over to the Tracer and going to continue to chase out onto Jolves. He was by himself, 1-on-3, and still ends up taking out Jolves' Olba right now, just doing so much work on this Tracer.
Man, how is Shatter still alive? That is my question. Now he has the Dragon Blade going into the back line, and this is, man, this is just not what you wanted. This looks so good for Copenhagen Flames, but they just, man, they just did not kill Shatter, and that's ridiculous. Shatter got 100% off that one engage, and he doesn't care. They're just going to push, because this is progression right now. All they need to do is make it to this entrance, and Olba has full spawn right now, and they have a lot of, you know, they have Earth Shatter coming up. They need to mitigate this Earth Shatter. If they can zero out this Earth Shatter and respond in kind, they can maybe hold off for a while.
They do have some of the tools to do it. Of course, they can use the sound barrier if one of the if Lucio's in hit, or they can Transcendence over the top of it. But Nidris is going to take out Olba to start it off, so very important. But like you said, I'm really surprised Shatter survived there. I switched away from his camera, expecting him to eventually go down, but I wonder if in their comms, Olba said, I'm still alive, I'm just going to go in. Absolutely ham. He did. He went in 1v3, opened up an opportunity for Shatter, and here we are now close to another Dragon Blade for him. Close to that Transcendence here from Anatonian, as he does just get it up. Rib is going to have up that Graviton Surge, and this is going to be the beginning of the first trade, and this is a very important moment here for Copenhagen Flames. They need to win this fight with Finef taking out Shatter. It might be enough, but then Olba gets himself a kill. Clown still alive and pushing forward with that sound barrier, so they have the defensive ultimates to continue to fight this out. And it looks like Finif in the background is going to get the better of it after Nidris goes down to RYB, and I'm just switching to all wrong people. We'll go over to Sheena over here as, there's 3 kills right immediately for the side of the offense as they push forward. Overwatch Kings, that's not exactly at all. In fact, that's the opposite of what Copenhagen Flames fans wanted to see, because now they're down quite a few heroes. The payload is approaching the close to the end. And remember, guys, it is already 1-0 in the series match point for the side of Overwatch Kings. If they win this, it is just GG, and that Graviton Surge. At the end of the day, simple but effective. If you use Graviton Surge in a position where they can't contest the point, then you just go ahead and win. And Overwatch Kings will take the series 2-0. Not too much of a surprise based upon previous power rankings from Overwatch Kings, but I do have to highlight before leaving it to you that I feel like this is definitely Overwatch Kings looking a little bit more stable than what we've seen from them in the last few weeks. This was a very strong performance out of them.
I mean, Shatter's just so smart. Like a lot of people will say, like, oh man, like Shadowburn is so mechanically gifted, like this person's so mechanically gifted, but Shatter's decision making in these games has just been so top notch, right? Like I highlighted the big flank where he basically hides up there and like gives them essentially like 4, 5 to 10 meters just pushing and doesn't attack because he doesn't want to give away his location. Super smart lurk. And of course on this exact map, staying alive for that long, not getting greedy, not saying, well, you know, I need to get kills, I need to, you know, force the map here, but staying alive and getting 95% ult off of the first push, that's almost unheard of. I get excited when my Genji gets 70% off of the first push and dies. Shatter doesn't die, gets 95 and reunites with the rest of his team to go for that big push, and that, you know, that was ridiculous. That was, I think, one of the smartest plays I've seen in such a long time, and it's just it's kind of mind-blowing, the micro level of play that, you know, these teams are using.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, at the end of the day, this is getting to the top of the bracket, or the top of the crop when it comes to this event, as we are going to be left now just with Anox and Overwatch Kings. And I'd really like to go, you know, maybe potentially go back and ask whether or not, I mean, it'd have to be right after the matches, but, you know, Olba, whether or not that was an intentional communication from him, the way that he ended up going in to buy Shatter that mental space. I mean, at the end of the day, when you are facing a Tracer who's playing that aggressive, you might just forget the fact that you've left a Genji up alive and that you need to kill this Tracer that's, you know, overcommitting. This Tracer's made a big mistake. She's up too far. Let's kill her. Let's kill her. Let's kill her. Jovel dies, Shatter pops a Dragon Blade, and then it's over. And Copenhagen Flames, unfortunately, going to have to lick their wounds. Going to go ahead and have to study the VODs. And going to go ahead and have to figure it out for next week. But now, like I said, we move into the finals. The cream of the crop, the final two teams, the last ones who have made it through the gauntlet of the bracket are finally here. They're going to be playing for a best of 5. The winner of this will take €150 as well as 100 points for the monthly finals. In addition to that, second place will be receiving 75 points. So it is very important that they got here in the first place. But now, it's all about the money. It's all about getting that W in the column, getting that we won a tournament. We have that confidence. We can go all the way through the bracket. Is there anything that you want to add to the bracket talk, the team talk, or anything of that nature before we go ahead and kick it over to the break scribe so we can get set up here to cast this finals, which honestly is looking like it could be absolutely amazing if Anox, they looked like they crushed Lemix because they were done before Overwatch Kings. The series was over, and this was a very, very fast series.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited for the best of 5, but these are two very great teams, so I'm very excited to see what's on the table.
Well, we'll see, and that will be decided in a moment, guys. All the action will unfold in front of your eyes here in just a moment, as we will be getting back into the action for the ESL Go4 EU Overwatch Cup number 12 in just a moment. But before that, we'll be leaving it to a short break here for some music. If you guys are enjoying the content provided for you, definitely do follow the channel at twitch.tv/DotaRaptors. Just click the follow button down below. Any casting I do for myself or for any events that I cast on my stream, it always will be here. And if it's not, then you guys can get updated by following me on Twitter, RaptorZOW, as well as following my co-caster, Scribe. Awesome guy, does a lot of analysis work for Overwatch as well as for Go2 Gamers within Overwatch, of course, but for on multiple different levels, not only writing and tournament analysis, but also helping out Copenhagen Flames and being an analyst in the scene. So definitely follow him at Scribe1 for an I, Overwatch, or OW on Twitter for more information for him and also keeping up with his analysis, his whatever casting he's doing outside of casting with me. But outside of that, there is also ESL Overwatch to follow on Twitter, guys. They will give you all the updates. The Atlantic Showdown is unfortunately over. I'm not going to go ahead and say who won. Unfortunately, I had it spoiled for myself, but nonetheless, that was an amazing event. You guys should definitely go back and watch the VODs if you haven't. But that went on. You guys can find out more about that on Twitter. You can find out more about the NA King of the Hill and the ESL Go4 series on that Twitter. But until we get to the next match, guys, enjoy some music as the ESL Go4 EU Overwatch Cup number 12 will be moving into the finals. Overwatch Kings versus Annex coming up in just a moment.